Sydney Sweeney, how she chose white supremacy over her career. She was supposed to be the next big thing, the breakout star of Euphoria, the Emmy-nominated actress who could do it all. Instead, Sydney Sweeney just had one of the worst box office openings in Hollywood history. Her new film, Christie, made barely over $1 million opening weekend. $1 million. That's not a typo. For a wide release with a major star, that's catastrophic. That's career-ending. That's the kind of failure that makes studios run screaming. Sound effect, box office numbers crashing. But here's the thing, this wasn't an accident. This was the inevitable conclusion of a calculated gamble that went horribly, spectacularly wrong. Because Sydney Sweeney made a choice. She looked at two paths in front of her and chose to become the poster girl for white supremacy, eugenics propaganda, and right-wing internet culture. She registered as a Republican in June 2024, not years ago when she was young and naive, but in the middle of her supposed career peak. She starred in ads with blatant eugenics messaging. She refused to disavow white supremacy when given a direct opportunity on camera. And now, as her movies bomb one after another, as her co-stars refuse to work with her, as Hollywood quietly closes its doors, she's learning a lesson that countless women before her have learned the hard way. The right wing doesn't actually support women, they just use them until something newer and blonder comes along. Welcome back to Dark Celebrity Truths. Tonight we're dissecting the spectacular self-destruction of Sydney Sweeney, a masterclass in how to destroy a promising career by choosing fascism over feminism, objectification over artistry, and quick cash over lasting legacy. Music shifts to something deceptively lighter, like success montage music that slowly distorts. Sydney Sweeney didn't come out of nowhere, but she also wasn't born into Hollywood royalty. She had minor roles in shows like Grey's Anatomy, Pretty Little Liars, 90-20-10, the kind of parts that pay the bills but don't make you a household name. Her first real break came in 2018 with The Handmaid's Tale, where she played Eden, a pious young wife in a dystopian, patriarchal nightmare. The irony of this casting, given where she'd end up politically, is almost too perfect. But it was Euphoria in 2019 that changed everything. Playing Cassie Howard, the insecure, sexually exploited teenager desperate for male validation, Sydney became a sensation. Not because of her acting range or dramatic depth, but because director Sam Levinson filmed her in ways that were, let's be honest, pornographic. The clips of Sydney from Euphoria that went viral weren't the emotional scenes or the character development, they were the sexually explicit scenes, the nudity, the objectification. Sydney Sweeney became famous because men could watch her naked for free on HBO. And here's where the pattern begins. We need to talk about Sam Levinson for a moment, because understanding Sydney's trajectory requires understanding the man who shaped her public image. Levinson has a documented pattern of sexually exploiting his actresses under the guise of prestige television. He did it to Sydney in Euphoria. He did it to Lily Rose Depp in The Idol. The difference is, Lily Rose Depp was able to break away from that image, improve her range as an actress Sydney Sweeney never even tried. Instead, she leaned into it, hard. By 2021, she was getting Emmy nominations for White Lotus, playing Olivia Mossbacher, a character many people thought was a parody of Dasha from Red Scare, the pseudo-intellectual, vaguely fascist podcast darling of the right-wing internet. Even then, we were talking about Sydney Sweeney in the context of conservative politics. By 2022, she was signing massive ad campaigns with Armani Beauty and Miu Miu. She was being positioned as Hollywood's new it girl, the blonde bombshell who could open movies and sell products just by existing. But Sydney had a problem. She wasn't just another pretty face. She had political beliefs, and those beliefs were about to become very, very public. August 2022. Photos surfaced from Sydney's mother's 60th birthday party. The theme? Make 60 great again, a direct parody of Trump's MAGA slogan. Guests wore red hats. Someone wore a Blue Lives Matter shirt. Sydney's response? She dismissed it as innocent fun. She told people to stop making assumptions. She played the victim, as if it was unreasonable for people to notice the obvious political signaling happening at her family gathering. Now, to be fair, MAGA parody hats exist in liberal spaces too. But here's the thing. When you look at what came next, when you see the full pattern, that birthday party wasn't a one-off. It was a preview. Throughout 2023, Sydney's star continued to rise. More roles, more magazine covers, more ad campaigns, and more subtle signals that something was off. Then came March 2024, and everything exploded. Sydney Sweeney hosted Saturday Night Live in March 2024, and the entire monologue focused on one thing: her breasts. She made jokes about her cleavage. The camera lingered on her chest. The whole performance was designed to reduce her to a body part, and she was complicit in it. Hell, she wrote the jokes herself. The right-wing internet exploded with celebration. Richard Hananiah, a well-known far-right eugenicist, posted her photo with the caption, "Wokeness is dead." Think about that for a moment. A eugenicist, someone who believes in racial superiority and selective breeding, chose Sydney Sweeney as his symbol of cultural victory. And Sydney said nothing, no condemnation. "No, that's not what I stand for." Nothing. The Guardian ran articles about how right-wingers had declared wokeness dead because of Sydney Sweeney's SNL appearance. She had officially become the avatar for anti-woke culture, whether she intended to or not. Except it wasn't an accident, because what came next made it crystal clear that Sydney Sweeney knew exactly what she was doing. In summer 2024, Sydney Sweeney starred in an American Eagle ad campaign that was a recreation of a famous 1980s Brooke Shields commercial. The tagline? "Sydney Sweeney has great genes." Genes. Genes. Get it? The ad was immediately called out for its white supremacist and eugenics undertones. It was blatant, it was deliberate, and it was indefensible. Within days of the backlash, people started digging, and what they found was explosive. Sydney Sweeney had registered as a Republican on June 14, 2024. Not in 2010 when she was young, not in 2016 during the first Trump election. In June 2024, in the middle of her career, in the middle of multiple controversies, fully aware of what that registration meant, she could have come forward and denied it. She could have claimed someone stole her identity. She could have said anything. Instead, her team said nothing. The silence was deafening, and the message was clear. Sydney Sweeney is a Republican, and she's not apologizing for it. Around the same time, Sydney started dating Scooter Braun. Yes, that's Scooter Braun, Taylor Swift's nemesis, the industry manipulator who's become increasingly right-wing, especially around Israel-Palestine issues. Scooter co-hosted Sydney's birthday party. And the guest list? It read like a who's who of the right-wing manosphere. Lex Fridman, pseudo-intellectual podcast bro. Andrew Huberman, wellness grifter with a history of manipulating women. Various tech billionaires from Scooter's orbit. This wasn't a diverse Hollywood party. This was a conservative networking event disguised as a birthday celebration. Sydney was fully embedding herself in right-wing circles while still trying to maintain her mainstream Hollywood career. She wanted to have it both ways, the conservative street cred and the liberal Hollywood money. But you can't serve two masters, and Hollywood was about to make that very clear. In late 2024, Sydney sat down with veteran journalist Kat Stoppel for GQ's Man of the Year issue coverage. Kat is no amateur. She's worked at BuzzFeed, Bustle, and is highly respected in entertainment journalism. During the interview, Kat did something radical. She asked Sydney about her politics. She gave Sydney multiple opportunities to clarify her position. She asked about Trump tweeting support for her. She mentioned how powerful people had defended her online. She literally handed Sydney the chance to say, "I don't support white supremacy." Sydney's response? "It's surreal." That's it. That's all she said. When pressed further, she claimed she didn't follow any of it because she doesn't check her phone. She doesn't take her phone to work. She just goes straight home and goes to bed. This is a woman who posts constantly on social media, who coordinates elaborate ad campaigns on Instagram, who is literally famous because of her online presence. It was a lie. A transparent, obvious lie told because she didn't want to alienate her conservative fan base by saying the words, "I don't support white supremacy." The tech billionaire class of Twitter, the same men who claim to be above celebrity gossip, turned Cat Stoppel into a meme. Mark Andreessen, a 65-year-old billionaire venture capitalist, made Sydney Sweeney his Twitter cover photo. He spent days tweeting about Cat Stoppel, attacking her appearance, her professionalism, her very existence. Paul Graham, founder of Y Combinator, posted photos of Cat with captions analyzing her facial features, calling her expressions perfidious physiognomy, and claiming you should never open up to someone who looks at you like this. These weren't random trolls. These were some of the most powerful men in Silicon Valley, dedicating their time and platforms to destroying a journalist who had simply done her job. Why? Because Sydney Sweeney had become their avatar. Their proof that wokeness is dead. Their blonde, busty symbol that conservative men could still objectify women and win. The misogyny was breathtaking. They attacked Kat's age, her hair, her face, her professionalism, everything except the actual questions she'd asked. Meanwhile, Lulu Cheng Meservey, a high-profile PR consultant for Silicon Valley, quote-tweeted these attacks with approving commentary about Sydney's aesthetic victory. She literally framed the interview as a battle between the young, beautiful blonde and the older, brunette journalist. This is what Sydney Sweeney had aligned herself with. Not feminist empowerment, not artistic integrity, but men who reduce women to their fuckability and discard them the moment they age out. Act 9, the box office bomb. Music becomes somber like a funeral march. Then came the reckoning. Christie premiered to one of the worst box office openings in modern Hollywood history, barely over $1 million. This was supposed to be Sydney's prestige moment. She played a female boxer, gained significant weight for the role, transformed her appearance. This was meant to prove she could be a serious actress, not just a blonde bombshell. But here's the cruel irony. The conservative audience she'd been courting didn't show up. They don't want to see Sydney Sweeney as a butch lesbian boxer who experiences domestic violence. They want to see her in a bikini selling Dr. Squatch soap. And the progressive audience? They'd already written her off. They saw through her game. They weren't going to support someone who refuses to disavow white supremacy. Sydney had positioned herself in the worst possible place. Too conservative for liberals, too woke, by virtue of being in prestige films, for conservatives. But Christie wasn't her only recent flop. Americana bombed. Eden cost $35 million to make, grossed only $2.5 million at the box office. Sydney Sweeney's box office track record is dismal, and it's getting worse. Act X, the Zendaya factor. Music becomes more comparative, analytical. Let's talk about Zendaya for a moment, because the contrast is devastating. Zendaya, Sydney's Euphoria co-star, has become one of the biggest stars on the planet. She could have followed Zendaya's path and become a respected, successful actress with progressive politics and lasting power. Instead, she chose to become a symbol for men who hate women. She commodified herself for an audience that views her as disposable. She aligned with fascists who will discard her the moment she's no longer fuckable by their standards. At 27 years old, Sydney Sweeney has become a cautionary tale about the dangers of choosing quick cash over lasting legacy, about what happens when you let yourself become an avatar for hate, about the inevitable failure of trying to serve two masters. She wanted to prove that wokeness was dead. Instead, she proved that pandering to fascists is career suicide. If you think Sydney Sweeney is controversial, just wait. Our next video dives into the real hidden drama behind Jay-Z and Beyoncé, a story even wilder than you'd expect. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one, because in the end, fame hides everything, until it doesn't.